Little Rover is significantly more depressing than I expected. This is a Screen Gems Colour Rhapsody cartoon from 1935. It's written and directed by Sid Marcus, and there will be spoilers as I talk about what happens in this. Honestly, not a lot happens, but our protagonist is adorable, and I genuinely thought we'd have a really positive ending. And we did not. It is very depressing. So as I said, there will be spoilers as I talk about what happens, but there's not too much to say in terms of the specifics. It starts off with this pile of puppies. They're all sleeping on a newspaper. There's a discarded open can beside them. It doesn't look like the best living situation. And our protagonist is cast aside. There's no room for him on the pile of puppies. So he decides to go exploring the big city, where there's a lot of hustle and bustle. There are a lot of people. We see a lot of different legs. There's a ferocious cat at one point, and it's all about the dangers that this little puppy encounters. And he's not exploring inquisitively. He is looking around him with fear and concern. He cries at one point. It's not a happy narrative. And then I was watching it thinking, okay, well, maybe somebody will come along and pick him up. He's a tiny little puppy, and give him a good home. And that doesn't happen. The weather gets worse. The puppy scurries back to the newspaper and flops down into the middle of the pile of the puppies. And that's the end. So we have this puppy who is cast aside. He then explores the big city, but is very scared of the environment, and then ultimately has to go back to the situation where he was cast aside and left alone. It's not a happy story. It really isn't. And I wasn't expecting it to be quite so depressing all of the way through. I was genuinely thinking we're going to get a happy ending. The puppy's not happy, but we can't leave the cartoon with him being in a dire situation. And that's exactly what happened. I'm not necessarily complaining about that. I think it's a nice change of pace to have something that's, I guess, realistic in a way, and not all happy and positive and living in a fantasy world where everything's perfect. Actually, the puppy is in, unfortunately, a very realistic situation, and I kind of appreciate that. I don't think I'd like it if every cartoon was like this. I think I'd lose my mind pretty quickly. But it was certainly very different. The animation is not too bad. It's a very early cartoon. We have a lot of reds and things. Not the most pleasing colour palette, but it is a product of its time. The puppy is very, very cute. I love the way he was animated. He is absolutely adorable. So I do recommend it. It's not a light-hearted watch, but I'd say it's worth it. Little Rover is absolutely not at all what I was expecting, but it was an interesting experience, and if it sounds like it would appeal to you, and if you're in the right headspace to watch quite a depressing cartoon about a sad little puppy, then I'd say it's worth checking out.